Hello, friends. I'm here with another story. I found this book and I was thinking about you guys because this is the story called Ada Twist, Scientist. And in this story, Ada becomes a scientist by asking lots and lots of questions. And I thought about how you guys also ask lots of questions. So after this story, we're going to have a chance to think about some questions that you might want to ask about the world. You could even take a second and think now. What's a question that I have? Why can cars go so fast? Why is the sky blue? There's lots of questions. Ada Marie said not a word until she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break, with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound in sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. I'm looking at all the chaos that she caused in her room. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak, as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and simply asked, "Why? Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why do we call it granddaughter clock? Why are the pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs inside your nose?" She started with why, and then what, how, and when. By bedtime she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled, and her curious daughter thought of their curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed and whispered, "You'll figure it out." So Ada started asking lots of questions. She wants to learn all about the world. Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid. Why, what, how, when, why? Whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Why does it do that? What is this for? Will it be the same? Why won't it? How can I find it? Why does it do it? How? How does it? Can I? What? When? Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. Look at the teacher! But this was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. A scientist is someone who investigates and finds things out about the world that we live in. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her thinking. What is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? And how does it stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped her chin. She'd start at the start, where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. That was the moment Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling smells both stinky and good. A hypothesis is something that you think is going to happen. So one hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zowie, the stink struck again just like that. Hypothesis 2, it's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make much stink on its own. It needed perfume and fancy cologne. Young Ada tested, the test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop!" Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now. By the time we count to 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said no. What? Ada queried. Her father said go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think. She looked at her parents, and her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada wondered. There we go. Sorry about that. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and Stu and the cat, and how our experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is it part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking what was the source of that terrible thinking, Ada did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked 2. And each of those led to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Uh-oh, she's starting to ask questions to find things out, which is good. But I'm looking at what she's doing on the wall, too. Her parents calmed down. They came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair was now the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and a heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asked lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. So she asks questions, and now I notice too she writes on paper, which probably makes them feel better. And as for the smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can from her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is a question, and someday, who knows? So we're done with the book. I really, really liked that book. If you are feeling like Ada and you're having questions about something, you can feel free to write your question down and send it to me. All kinds of questions. What's the biggest animal in the world? What is going on? Are we going to come back to school? You can write down any question you want and send it to me, and I'd be happy to see it. See you soon. Bye.